here on TV3. It is time for our social segment, which is brought to you by Peak Milk. Drink Peak Milk every day. Peak Milk is richly packed with essential vitamins and minerals, so more Peak Milk means more brain power for you and your family. Today in our social segment, we're talking about road and accidents during the Easter period. We just showed some images there which have led to injuries, disabilities, and in some extreme cases, loss of life. So what are we doing about it? To help discuss this particular topic right now, we have DSP Alexander Kweku Obing from the MTTU. He's head of the Education Research and Training Unit. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
How are you?
Oh, by God's grace.
Good. I want to start off by asking you, what are some of the trends or what are some of the patterns that you and your unit have noticed when it comes to accidents and the holiday period?
Well, thank you very much and for the opportunity. It's a good morning to Ghana. We have with us that retired. Easter is with us. A year by now, we have celebrated Easter. We think that because of what we've experienced over the time, we always are, as it were, informed by previous experiences. Mm-hmm. And when you look at what happened previous years, for example, 2012 and 13, because of the effort that all stakeholders, including MTT nationwide, did, crashes over the period of the Easter, from the Easter Friday mm-hmm. to Monday, I've seen significant reduction.
Okay.
For instance, last year, the previous year has registered about 25 deaths, but because of our proactive effort and supported by very vigorous and reactive enforcement, particularly where the Easter was being felt mostly, crashes and its associated death decreased by 18 persons being killed,
right,
from 25. Mm-hmm. And but one shocking trend that we had the same period last year was that in the eastern region where we see a lot of journeys being embarked upon,
yes, given
all the arterial roads we have in Ghana, and where the epicenter of the Easter activities is seen. Mm-hmm. The death was not registered between the Friday and the Monday.
There was no death registered?
Yes, that's between 29th of March last year and 1st April last year. That's where we had the Easter.
Yeah.
But we also saw at the same time that in Accra and Tema alone, mm-hmm.
We
recorded 14 deaths.
Wow.
And I've already said that nationwide we had 18 deaths. So if we're giving 11 police regions in Ghana to could account for almost
all of
80 to 85% of the deaths that were registered.
Yeah.
It tells us that the survey that we are doing is true, mm-hmm. because where the roads are free, where the roads are straight and flat, there in Ghana a lot of crashes occur.
Were taking place.
Are you getting it?
Yeah.
So because most of the vehicles left most of our big cities,
that's
including
right,
Accra
to go
and
to the smaller
for either Kwahu or other settlements,
that's
other
right,
than Accra and Tema and other regions. And the roads became free, and we saw a lot of crashes as a result of unnecessary excessive speeding and inappropriate speeding behaviors as a result of drunk driving and merrymaking, and giving vehicles to untrained hands and disqualified persons, mm-hmm. and all that. So this seems to be the problem that confronts Ghana when it comes to an occasion like Christmas and Easter.
Yeah.
And that's why with this hindsight, we have been very proactive. Like Friday, we took a stroll with all the major media houses
Yep.
in Accra and Ghana to pay impromptu visits
To some
to
of
some
them.
lorry parks in Accra and Temple.
And what did you find?
And all that. I think the evidence is with TV3. The evidence is with all the media houses that we went to. And what we saw, maybe people are not privy to it, we observed that whilst some road users and transport operators comply with the rules of engagement, others also are not ready to comply unless we use the state deterrent processes. That when we went, we saw that some people who are disqualified from driving commercial vehicles were driving. We saw that some vehicles were not roadworthy with worn out tires and very weak body. Where are these
I'm
lorry
going to
parks?
just ask you something. I mean, you did mention that some of these vehicles were not roadworthy. Does that mean that they actually had roadworthy certificates, but you deemed the car not roadworthy,
What we
or they
saw-
didn't have certificates?
The roadworthy certificate was expired.
It was
That's what I
expired.
meant.
Okay.
We also saw some rickety vehicles. We also saw that some drivers were driving with a lesser class license that is not meant to be used to drive
That vehicle.
commercial vehicles,
Right.
because the person was using class B license,
Yes.
meaning that he's not experienced and has been trained to handle that vehicle. We also observed dangerously person or driver who was drunk when he was tested on the breathalyzer.
Okay.
I read 0.136%,
And the limit is 0.08.
0.08,
Okay.
and the vehicle was ready to be moved because the engine was on. It was loaded with over 40 passengers meant to be moved on the N1 between Kaneshi,
Wow.
Takoradi station to Takoradi, and it stays with the trend at the station.
Yes.
And we go to other places where the driver had absconded, we believe. Somebody came up to tell police that he is the driver ready to move the vehicle and refused to be tested. We thought that he was drunk, suspected that he was drunk. He refused and was arrested. And he could not also produce license to show that he could move that high
vehicle.
occupancy vehicles
Right.
on behalf of the states. So we got some of these things, and these are some of the major indicators why when we have a lot of crashes,
Yes.
that we have incompetent drivers handling vehicles. If you have drivers whose visions are blurred and can be influenced to either move dangerously, do dangerous maneuvering because they are drunk,
Yeah.
unlawful overtaking, maneuvering on crests and hills, and running red lights and all manner of behaviors, including inappropriate speed,
Yeah.
all attributed to drunk driving. We knew what the scale of the problem for this sister. That's why today you see all stakeholders converging at the old Nkoko Lorry Park to launch the Easter campaign and then the empowerment of passengers
Okay.
on Ghana roads.
Now, we spoke about drunk driving, which is probably one of the most commonly abused offenses that people do when it comes to driving. Now, in these lorry parks, there are drinking spots. Is there any move that you guys are doing to actually have these drinking spots completely removed from lorry parks? Because obviously it's adding to the temptation.
I think this has come up several, and police always operate on law. You don't go our own way to infringe or violate the rule of engagement.
Yeah.
If you are empowered, we act. Yet to be told of a law that prescribed the opening of bars and pubs at public places.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
What is it is that individuals, their duties are sometimes banned
Yeah.
from taking in alcohol. That's why the road law is there. That's why we've been provided with breathalyzers.
Yeah.
That's why we have transport operators and managers and welfare officers and station masters who are also supposed to act before even the vehicle moves onto the road, for the police to continue with the checks, the pre-trip check, including the state of mind and the vision of the person, whether he has taken alcohol or he has injected any drug that may impair his or her vision and judgment, including marijuana and cocaine, among others. And so for us, our capacity extends to whether you are drunk, and when we get you on our radar, we subject you to the breathalyzer test. I think that's what. Otherwise, we move you to a medical facility
for them to
for a sample of your saliva and blood and other things to be taken. Police, we test only the breath. Whether there's
tell us about your plans over the Easter. Like you said, you're going to be meeting at the Nkoko Lorry Park. What's going to happen from there, and what should drivers be aware of?
The problem has been said that road safety problem is lurking around unless we are very cautious and disciplined. Because we are also very proactive in delivering traffic policing service. We didn't even wait for the Easter weekend before we started engaging the public. We've been engaging the public. And that's why last week we even embarked on this impromptu visit to one of our major stakeholders. I'm talking about transport operators at the lorry parks and the drivers to send signal. And that's why we see traffic police officers all over on our roads. This morning, information received is that in Accra, a lot of enforcement being put in place to check motorcycle use, among others. That's why this morning you go to the old lorry park at Nkoko, all the major stakeholders in road safety in Ghana, be it Ministry of Transport, National Road Safety, DVLA, Motor Traffic and Transport Department, and all that matters are there to partner the residents of Okoro and Ghana to proclaim that we want peace on our roads, to also empower one road user, the passenger. I think last year the pedestrians were empowered. I want to add occupants of vehicles who may not be drivers, who also are empowered by the road law to also and do enforcement on behalf of the police. But the police cannot be all over. So we want to show our presence. Apart from these outward activities that will be done today, we plan to be on the ridge, on the Kwahu Mountains, with those who will be partaking in paragliding and all that throughout the weekend. And we will be seen on most of our arterial roads with breathalyzers, which is going to be demonstrated today and all that, and a new speed cameras that will be used to check speeding behaviors. And we will back it up with our agency to proceed to court. These are some of the things we will do, and we will sustain road safety campaign and sensitization on in the media, with the print, the audio and the audio visual, so that we will reach out to as many road users as we can, particularly
to ensure
drivers, passengers and pedestrians, who themselves may be many, particularly where we have the Easter epicenters in Ghana. We know we have a lot of pedestrians who will be on foot, who will be entering pubs and beer bars and maybe walking across and maybe along. But we want to tell them that the many road users who are at risk are mostly those who cross the road as pedestrians. And during this time, wherever you are in crossing the road, we pray that you will have to be a bit cautious.
Everyone should be safe no matter what. All right, I want to say a big thank you. We've actually run out of time now. This has been Mr. DSP Alexander Kweku Obing, Head of Education Research and Training at the National MTTU. And remember, if you're a passenger or a driver, it all depends on you. Make sure that whoever's around you hasn't been drinking and driving, and we want to expect that everyone will be safe throughout the Easter period.